Welcome to Cologne. On behalf of Bio-Rad, I'm proud to open the fourth Convention on Quality Control at European level. We tried to select 11 hot topics on quality control to develop together along with outstanding international speakers, followed by some interactive question and answer. And now I introduce the Master of Ceremony, Max Williams, which is our Global Marketing Manager, which will introduce all the speakers. I wish you a nice day in Cologne and a very pleasant participation. Good work to everybody. Max, the stage is yours now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Cologne for our fourth convocation of experts in laboratory quality. We're really happy to have you here. One moment. Really happy to have you here. This is a new format for us this year. In the past, we've had working groups. This year, we're taking the synthesis of the work from the past 3 years and trying to present perspectives, and we hope that you will all share in this with us. A few things. It's a really unique opportunity for you to share and learn. And you've been selected because of your passion for quality in the laboratory. And we really embrace that, and we thank you for being here. Your participation is essential. I know there will be speakers, 22 speakers over the next 2 days, so we have a packed agenda. Some of the topics may be something that you have always been interested in but haven't been able to learn enough about. Remember that in our time together, there are no right answers. These are perspectives and opinions. I will say mostly there are no right. There's a few, but you'll see as those come across. Your voices will be heard, and we really request your input. We're going to have opportunity for discussion, and we'd like to get your perspective as you work in the laboratory. The agenda today, presentations and discussion up until around 12:50. We'll have lunch, continue the presentations and discussion, followed by a social dinner and tour this evening. And you'll see in your programs that we're broken into different languages based on the tour guide and touring groups. We'll continue tomorrow and early in the day around 2:30 at the end of lunch. So these are the hot topics. These are the subject areas that we've selected for this year. This really is a synthesis of the last few years of the work that we've done together. And there's an evolution, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. We'll show you some history of some polling that we did 3 years ago and some polling that we'll do today, and we'll see how perceptions have changed. It's kind of exciting for us. In your hands or at your desk, you have a small polling device, and we'll take a few minutes and do some sample questions, and this is kind of fun. A number of you have used these in the past. It's anonymous data, but we want to get your opinions on these things and use it to spark some discussion. One important thing is this is not a test or a review of the material that you've seen. This is not saying how well did you pay attention, how well did you listen, etc. It's really about your opinion or what you're doing in your laboratory. And we hope that it will spark some discussion. Please remember to return your device at the end of the day today. There's 76 of you with devices in the room. So when we do the questions, we'll see a meter going about up to 76. So again, we thank you for being here and look forward to your participation. First question. What is Eau de Cologne? You can answer multiple times until it closes. The very last answer that you input on your device is the one that will be selected for you. My preference would be, very good. I was going to say number 2. I'm in the company of 1% there. Okay, very good. So I think we have the idea on this one. Turns out the correct answer is perfume. Very good. That's good. How high is the Kölner Dome? One holdout? Still thinking? Aha. 37% said 173. Close. It's 157. Okay, a little bit of demographics. Tell us a bit about where you hail and in your laboratory. Public hospital, private hospital and or lab, university and or research center, or other. Okay. 55% public hospital laboratories. Great. Also, just note another just advice from the stand here. We are videotaping the event, and we will later have the video available for you and in various venues. We'll have a handheld mic if you want to ask questions of the speakers and for the discussion, and we ask that you speak into that when we do that. We have Andy in the back who will be helping us answer the questions. Is your lab accredited? Quick answers. Very good. It'll be interesting to compare this. We'll talk about this tomorrow. We'll compare this to the answers from 3 years ago. 59% according to ISO 15189. That is a marked change. Okay? Only 9% are not accredited. Annual test volume in my laboratory is? This is number of examinations. Okay, somebody's shy, a few people shy, don't want to answer. Over 1 million. So we have large laboratories represented here. Good volume. And last of our demographic question, which best fits your professional background? Now, we argued about this in creating this question. We know that people have a lot, but just pick one that best fits your professional background. And there is a correct answer here, so. Okay. A few more seconds. Okay, so look around your colleagues, majority clinical chemistry background. But it's good to see we have some others, but very much shifted toward clinical chemistry. So when we get into some of the virology conversations, we hope that our colleagues there will be able to help guide some of that discussion. So we'll move into the main program. And the first segment is about third-party and laboratory practice in quality control. And our first speaker is Dr. Henk Goldschmidt, Director of Diagnostic Regional Services for Home Practitioners in Tilburg, in the south part of the Netherlands, together with Jean-Claude Libert, organizer of the Antwerp Quality in the Spotlight meetings over the last 16 years. Welcome, Dr. Goldschmidt.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me. Relax, you will have 15 minutes of edutainment. Some education, but a lot of entertainment. Just to trigger your mind. I have some introductory remarks. That's where we are. All marketeers tell stories. If they do right, we believe them. We believe that wine tastes better in $20 glass than in a $1 glass. We believe that 80,000 Porsche is vastly superior to a 36,000 Volkswagen. That's virtually the same car. We believe that 125 sneakers make your feet feel better and look better than $25 brand. And believing makes it true. And that's the same with quality. So quality is in the eye of the believer. And that was my line. You stole it. So we have to go for some definitions. And those definitions are clear, and we will go over them fastly. There is a devil's triangle between time, money, and quality. And we have to divide our challenges across those three corners. Quality is kind of everything. So if you are in business, in a commercial laboratory, and I'm not really in a commercial laboratory, but something that is close to it, quality is the only thing that counts. Much more than money, for instance. And faith in yourself, I think, as well. Quality should be controlled as well as assured. And you should pay attention especially to this last part. Quality assurance is something that can be expressed together with quality control. And there is a possibility that ratio can be influenced by third-party controls. And that's the subject that we are discussing right now. Of course, you should have a plan as well. Always have a plan, and a backup plan as well. That's what we did in Antwerp. We joined our plans and we developed those over the years, over the last 16 years. This is the last meeting, and we will have another meeting, maybe even together with Bio-Rad, at least in the year 2015. We discussed there for many, many years how we should progress in quality in laboratory medicine. Our total quality management plan is kind of described here. So the quality delivered by the medical laboratory to its requesters, physicians as well as patients, has to cover the entire medical decision loop. And we will go into that a little bit further, and we will see how third-party quality control could fit that. But you have to look at the entire picture. It should fit into medical protocols as well as in its medical environment. And as we discussed last year, it should live up to strict conditions. And those strict conditions are defined by at least 8 quality indicators. It's a kind of multi-criteria analysis. Here are those, and this is the consensus of those Antwerp meetings. These are those indicators. First of all, the error rate. And that error rate, and you know what my big thing is, that error rate should be 0. And that's very, very important, as well as the variance, and that variance should be 1/4 of the intra-biological variation. And after that, there are some other things which are also important, but less as the first 2. It should be medically useful, there should be a short turnaround time, of course, there should be the possibility of test interpretation. The lab should have a certain automation level and also a certain quality culture. And costs are in there, but are not so important. And as a matter of fact, the location of the lab, as well as the test method, are irrelevant. And there should be a total access with regard to the medical usefulness of the data. So those data should be readily available for everybody involved. All of this leads to what we called the Nexus concept. It covers all aspects of diagnostic testing in the laboratory medicine. And because we're now discussing third-party quality control, as a matter of fact, we are only in this area. And as a matter of fact, third-party quality control covers only the analytical part. And what I like to stress, because I think that moving forward into the future, it should involve also the pre-analytical as well as the post-analytical part. So I think that firms like Randox and Bio-Rad should see how they can enlarge the span of third-party quality control. If you go into a little bit more detail, that's what this says, you see the same thing, and here you can see exactly how it is defined, the pre-analytical phase, the analytical phase, and the post-analytical phase, and all of that should be covered by third-party quality control. As a matter of fact, but we will discuss that later as well, Why third party? Where is the first party, the second party, and the fourth party? Well, we'll find a way. Warmware, our personnel, is the most important in your quality plan, because these people really make your quality. This slide was from 1974 by Lott, and it's still a very nice paper that describes exactly how people are influencing the quality. As I said, no errors allowed, and quality could be defined as no errors, and you can make a qualification of those errors, of course. And third-party quality control should cover all these areas, and we should find a way to define not only the errors, but also how third-party quality control can cover those areas. I'll give you a real-time example of my lab a couple of days ago. We moved the centrifuge. And by moving that, we found 2 samples, which were just laying there. And we were looking for days for those 2 samples, but they were just under the centrifuge. This is something that's very difficult to control, but it is our daily life. Should one control more? I don't think so. I think you should be a little bit more smarter by doing certain quality controls. If you look at it from an economical point of view, my father was a professor in business economics. He'll teach me this. You know, of course, that there are preventive costs, inspection costs, which are in this curve. But there are also failure costs, internal as well as external. And you can use this model by putting extra efforts, and those extra efforts will result in extra safety and extra quality. And you can bring in third-party quality control, and you can see that that shifts to a higher safety level. So third-party quality control makes sense. It costs money, but it yields as well. What would Google do? Google is regarded as, at the present, as one of the most successful companies due to their idiosyncratic marketing strategy. They're very stubborn and they have their own marketing strategy. If you want to introduce something new, like third-party quality control, and do it in a good way, you should do that in a transparent way. Meaning, hello? Oh, there he is. I lost my friend. It should be transparent, so you should publish the results that you find, not only from the normal quality control, but especially from the third-party quality control. It should be made part of a social network, so you should share those with other participants. And you should give those results, for instance, on the telephone. So third-party quality control should be kind of thought, and it should be outside the lab as well. Sir, I want to go to the next slide, please. As I told you, what is first-party and second-party quality control? You could say that first-party quality control is a diagnostic firm that produces the instrument, as well as the reagent, control as well as calibrator. And the second party could be the customer. And then the third party could be an independent diagnostic firm. But those controls should be linked, should be from a very high quality, of course, but should be linked to international standards as well. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And the fourth party could be the patient. And then it fits the entire model. But I still think it's a confusing terminology. There is another way of looking at it from first and second, and you can say the first party is the internal auditing system, and the second party is the external auditing system. That's what is found in literature, if you look into that. So what would you expect me to do here? If this is a speech that I give for Bio-Rad, you want me to expect to tell you that you are still in business because you are selling third-party quality control material. And for me, it's obvious that it makes sense to have that. But what is the next step? And again, I think the quality should be better with regard to the material itself. It should be linked to international standards, and it should be outside the lab, as I told you. Like you have patients as actors, I think you should have something which is called hidden controls. That means that you should start with your third-party quality control outside the lab, for instance, in the broad drawing area, and you should be in the post-analytical phase as well. That means that it's easy to detect instrument errors, it's easy to detect reagent errors, procedural errors, as long as they are within the lab is also easy, but again, it should be outside there. And that's exactly what Google would do. They would sit together with the customers and see how they can improve the entire loop. So, my conclusions, there's a trade off between repair and prevention cost, and that can be influenced very positively by third-party quality control. There is a definite need for this type of quality control, but you should cover more than just the analytical phase. Thank you very, very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to talk with you about third-party control. So Henk already started with trying to have a definition. And as Max said, I will give you some jokey presentation so that you have some fun in the morning to keep you awake. This is my first graph, which I carry all my life with me, and each presentation I give, you see this presentation, or this slide especially. And in this slide, you see that there is a method comparison between a new and a routine method, and this professor, I don't tell you the name, who it is, but he got an invitation for a congress to Hawaii, present the results. And as you know, most of us are not interested in this 99 points, which fits well to the correlation, but most of us are interested in that single point that failed this correlation. And that's my reason that I'm talking now about third-party control here. I have my friend Mario with me, so I have to cover also safety and errors in laboratory medicine. Here we have a graph from Jay Calra from Canada. And today it was understood that mainly the problems appear in the pre-analytical and in the post-analytical phase. For me, it could be an excuse that we don't know that much about the analytical process. That's why we are finger-pointing to areas outside of the laboratories. There are the problems. And in the laboratory, we believe that we have everything under control. Is this correct? So the risk, CLSI is creating a new, or they did a new document, EP23, on risk management in laboratory medicine, and I looked to the risk rate in different situations. So if you're visiting a hospital as a patient, the risk to die is 1 to 300, while dying on a plane crash is only 1 to about 10 million. So for me, the preference is to go on a plane rather than to go in a hospital. Well, if I'm a patient, I wouldn't go on the plane, but that's a different story. The impact of the laboratory results to clinical decisions, that's very important for me because I see over the years the impact is growing. So 94, the impact was about 64%. So 64% of a medical decision is driven by the laboratory result. Great. Nowadays it's about 80. But on the other hand, it's so strange to me that only 5 cents of a dollar or a euro is paid for the laboratory just to provide this 80% for the background of clinical decisions. So there is a mismatch, and I think we from the laboratory side have to work on this to show how really important we are. Not only showing the numbers, we have to deliver cases and the evidence. Now, going back to my topic, and I start from the very beginning, it's the calibration. Calibration is a process of testing and adjusting an instrument or test system to establish a correlation between the measurement response and the concentration or amount of the substance that is being measured by the test procedure. Well, that's a definition, and we are always focused on quality, but we are not that much focused on calibration. But there, the problems may start. If I present this to students, I ask them to draw a line, and everyone starts the line at the 0 point. Strange to me, if I ask you to draw a line, you can draw the line wherever you want. To draw a line, at least you have to have 2 points, then you're able to draw the line, and you believe that there is a linearity between the 2 points. It might be better to have 3 points, and then you believe that between the 3 points to have a linearity like this. But even there's a chance of non-linearity. So at the end, your calibration curve may look like this. That's why we need to have quality control over this process. When do calibration? Both CAP and CLIA require that calibration or calibration verification be performed at least every 6 months and after reagent lot changes. And after reagent lot changes. That's what most of the laboratories are not doing. Unacceptable quality control. Unacceptable quality control doesn't mean that you have a value which is not fitting to your limits. You have to find a reason for it before you do a calibration. These days, people very often look at the quality control result and then they do the calibration, and calibrating the error away, don't remember the error any longer. And I will show you some consequences out of this. So major service of the instrument require calibration, and for sure when recommended by the manufacturer. The calibration cost on the treatment. Here I have an example from the States on calcium. So if you don't do a proper calibration on calcium, cost us about annually $60 to $199 million this error because of additional investigation of the patient and maybe wrong or misleading treatment. So calibration verification means the assaying of material of known concentration in the same manner as patient specimens to substantiate the instrument or test system's calibrations throughout the reportable range for patient test results. And this is representing the quality control. Today we have mainly closed systems. So the manufacturer delivers due to the IVD directive, so regulations, a system which is the instrument, the reagent, the calibrator, and the quality control. So here you have a totally closed system. And sometimes the manufacturer adjusting their quality control material where there's the calibrator, and you believe that you are in a very safe situation. The critical point in view of patient safety that all of us are fulfilling the minimal requirement. Why should I do more? On the other hand, if I go on a plane, they do the check again and again and again, and they will do it tomorrow as well, even if they know that they are very safe, they have a very high sigma level, but they do the testing again and again and again. This might be important to have such a high sigma level. But in the laboratory, we are on the way to reduce the number of control checks we are doing. So typically we are running 2 QC samples in the morning, that's fine, and we believe that about 1,000 samples per day or even more are safe under quality control. Creatinine method, which we're using today. Here we have a nice experiment, 365 samples from patients with 90 different diseases were sent out to different procedures to measure creatinine, where there's a reference procedure. So we have 4 enzymatic and 3 Jaffe procedures compared against the reference procedure. And you see that here about 16% of the measurements are critical biased. So in the enzymatic procedure, you see 6% have a negative bias, while 3 have a positive bias. And the Jaffe procedure, well, that's known. No one is using the Jaffe procedure any longer. It's a 100 years old method, but it's cheap. It's cheap, but it's creating a high number of errors. And we are reporting those errors. And finally, the healthcare economy has to pay for this. Lot-to-lot variation. Here is an example showing the glucose measurement on different lots of one manufacturer. And you'll see that if you have a lot change, also your target value, your quality control target value may change. This is not only true for quality control material, as well true for patient material. The way we are doing in the laboratory might be like this. I'm shooting now against the dark, and we will see what happens. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, thank you, sixth. And our conclusion, on average, the duck is dead. Independent quality control for me is an absolutely neat. And here I brought an example from one laboratory. They do sodium measurement, and they use the instrument control fluid over the time, and it looks very nice. So the high control and the low control fits very well to their limits, and they are very happy about this. But unfortunately, they got a phone call from the physician, and the physician told them that he is not happy with the sodium results. They are too high. Well, we have nice quality control. Both are very well in the limits. So there is nothing wrong in the laboratory. There might be something wrong with the drawing of the sample or whatever the physicians are doing. Well, in this case, it happened that they did calibration at that point. And you see, if you calculated the mean of a third-party control over the time, you see that there is a shift. So the physician told you that there is something wrong with your procedure. If you have had used here a third-party control, you were able to detect this. Well, I will explain the reasons and the differences. Another tool which you can use is the patient mean, and the patient mean represents exactly what the third-party control shows you in this example. Well, the calibration is the issue, and the failure that people did is that they used the same pipette for the controls as for the calibrators. Very convenient, but if there is an error in the pipette, you transfer this error as well into your quality control material. That's why you need to have a third-party control, and especially in this case, a liquid one will overcome the problem with the pipetting, because most of us are not lyophilizing patient material. Long-term studies, and here I have a study which ran over 7 years on glucose, and they detected a shift over the years. It seems that the values in this study group gets higher, 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 but the reason was the manufacturer modified the calibration over time. So the wrong conclusion out of this, the wrong clinical conclusion, is that there is, getting worse with the glucose, getting higher in this population, but this was just a problem of calibration of the instrument. So the recommendation of FDI is ideally QC material simulate the composition of patient samples as closely as possibly in order to minimize matrix effects and correctly reflect the expected performance, which you may see on patient samples. Use of matrices such as human serum, urine, or whole blood-derived samples may be accomplished this. My question is, and that's the wish of the laboratory, one fits all. Did you ever saw a patient who suffered from a broken leg, myocardial infarction, hepatitis, HIV, osteoporosis, leukemia, gallstones, hyperthyroidism, pancreatitis, kidney malfunction, high age, prostate carcinoma, and is pregnant at the same time? Well, that's the quality control which we want to see, a control which has all the analytes in extremely high concentration. Maybe it's time to ask for disease-specific controls, because we are taking care of patients and we don't pool the patients and deliver then the results. So my conclusion, calibration is a critical step in the analytical process. Matrix effects have to be taken into account. There is an absolutely need of an independent control material, third-party control, given by ISO 15189, and you reduce the risk of unreliable results. And finally, you save lives and money by using independent quality control material. That's why on the plane you do the checks, that over again and over again. That's why we need this for the laboratory as well. My very last slide is, thank you for your attention.
Thank you both. We have an opportunity to do a few more polling questions about this subject, and hopefully that will help maybe spur some additional discussion and maybe some questions for our panel, and I'll have a question or two as well. So here you go again. This is opinion, and the polling is open. Okay. Almost. We'll take that. Agree and strongly agree. We're majority. We might want to explore a little bit anybody that wants to offer about why they said disagree. Anybody in the disagree or strongly disagree that wants to help us with that? Yeah, absolutely. Mike? Andy? Oh, one here.
Thanks. Julian Bath from England. I think I'm just arguing for semantics, really. If we believe that third party is independent, I think we should call it independent and external. The problem with using the term third party is it's ambiguous. And I said I disagree because I don't know what third party means, not because I don't think it's independent.
Right. Okay. Great point. We find that in the U.S. and in Asia Pacific, or in the Asia region, third party has a different meaning. It sometimes people feel that it means it's sort of a different quality. It's somehow almost could be counterfeit or could be other things. And so it's terminology that maybe we as experts in the field, you as experts in the field, we need to maybe change the nomenclature. So here's a practice question about how you use controls in your laboratory. Just picking the one that fits the best. Okay, we'll just close it now. 85% use third-party controls every day of testing. Another practice question. I use third-party QC too. Just picking the best fit answer for you. Close. Take that. More than half to verify both calibration and reproducibility. Good. The last question in this section. Instrument manufacturer A provides specifications for controls to be made by company B. These are still third-party controls. This is purely your opinion. I'm getting around 74. False. Great. Beer. No, it's not time yet, but it will be. Dr. Goldschmidt, I was wondering about, you said something about we need to be smarter about QC. Saying not necessarily do more, but be smarter about our QC. What are some ways that we can be smarter about our QC in your perspective?
You didn't give me this question before. You should. It's a difficult question. If you look at the third-party quality control, which I am fond of, it should be as informative as it is possible. That means if it could be linked to international standards, or even if you could use whole blood samples, which I know is very difficult, but then you cover more from the analytics that's there. So it's kind of improving the quality of third-party quality control. And I know there are a lot of technicalities which are very difficult, but that should really serve the field. And with regard to being smarter, yeah, you should know your stuff. That means that you should know which assay is difficult and which is not. You used calcium because we always use calcium because that's one of the most terrible assays we have. So that's the thing that you really should control, probably more often than glucose. So you should know where you are sensitive and where not. And that was another nice example that Oswald gave. You should really listen to your customers because the doctor mostly is right on very difficult grounds than you are thinking, but he's normally right. So do not neglect that.
Good, great. So open it to the audience. Any particular question for the panelists or for the group? Any observations based on the presentations or maybe the questions and the polling? Please.
Dr. Goldschmidt, I really liked your suggestion that we should be extending the scope of quality control or quality assurance of the whole testing. Now, I suppose the ultimate way of doing this would be to get an actor with a disease going to a doctor, and then you would test whether the right test was selected, whether the right blood sample was drawn, and whether the analysis was correct. And that clearly would be far too expensive to do on a regular basis. Where do you think we should start the quality control, quality assurance step?
As a matter of fact, scheme with actors is used in the Netherlands. So exactly in that way. So if you are a home practitioner and you're part of that experience, you will have 1 or 2 or 3 times in a week an actor that comes there, and he will reflect there. The system, because we are kind of cheap in the Netherlands, we will not do the diagnostics, but we will discuss with the doctor and say, listen, why did you do this, or you missed this? So we use that. With regard to third-party quality control, what my message was, maybe we could enlarge it a little bit and introduce, for instance, the samples at the pre-analytical phase to see if that works as well. Or even bring it up to the post-analytical phase, because if you put there a pregnant man in there, what you were suggesting, you can check on that just to see if the results turn up in that way. So the lab should realize that it is not only a lab, but it is part of the world, And so we should broaden our things. But I don't think I don't think you can use third-party quality control outside the lab. That's difficult. And not outside the lab, outside the analytical phase. That's what, because you gave an example outside the analytical phase, as I call it, and I still apologize, the pre-analytical and the post-post, that's too difficult. But the pre-analytical, the analytical, and the post-analytical phase should be covered. And it's possible. And I think it should be a great edge for instance, Bio-Rad, because then that adds.
Dr. Jones.
Graham Jones from Sydney. Perhaps just a suggestion might be if the QC was sent from Bio-Rad to my lab with a request form and a series of tests, we then do it, it has a doctor's address on it, and we then send it back to you, and then you're checking the whole process that we've requested the right things, we've done the right tests, you get the numerical result, and it's actually been delivered. That would be a way perhaps of looking through the whole system. It would mean you'd have to interpret all of our different reports, and if you really wanted to do it properly, you'd have to handwrite the request to see how well we could read your handwriting. And you'd have to get real doctors to write it to make it harder.
No, but we're laughing at it, but that's real life, so that's a good thing to do. And the next thing, and that's what Google would do, you should publish it on the internet. Just show your results.
Great. Any others? Questions, comments? Great. Well, thank you both. We're going to have just 30 seconds or so while we re-mic our next panel, but I wanted to make sure that you knew who to be in touch with if you have any things that come up during the next few days. Gianni, who you introduced us earlier this morning, is part of the team. Andy Quintens at the back is part of the team, also from the U.S., and Lucia is at the front desk and running around and making sure that the trains run on time, that the lunch is ready, and all the things are there. And Helga and Asuncion will be collecting the devices at the end of the day.